Welcome to Alyssa Jean's Star Wars reviews. First one of these that I've done in a while. And this is my review for the Book of Boba Fett Season 1. Spoilers, of course, for the entirety of Book of Boba Fett Season 1, as I will be talking about the season as a whole. Now, before I dive into it, a programming note for those of you who subscribe to my channel and who may have watched my video for my February calendar. You may note that I am releasing this video a few days earlier than I said I was going to. Originally, I was going to do a Star Wars Friday on Friday, February 18th, and release this along with a video I am going to do on the story of Mandalore, where I'm going to tell you all of the episodes you need to watch to get the full story of Mandalore as we've seen it so far. In that video, I still am going to drop on February 18th, but I'm not going to do this Star Wars Friday thing. I decided to do the Book of Boba Fett review a little bit earlier because I just feel like the farther away this video drops from the finale airing, the less interested people are going to be. And already, Star Wars, quite frankly, is my least popular thing that I do on my channel. And not that anything I do gets a ton of views, because I am a brand new channel with still trying to build up some subscribers, but Star Wars definitely gets less than like Star Trek, or definitely my transition videos actually get the most. So already it's at a disadvantage, so I thought, I'm just gonna release it a little bit earlier. It's a little bit closer to the date of the finale. So, with that out of the way, let me first start with my overall thoughts, and then I'm going to kind of divide the season in half. I'm going to talk about the first 4 episodes kind of together, because they're very much the same. They're very similar. They're all the flashback episodes. And then I will talk about those final 3 episodes. And I'm probably going to get into a lot of detail on episode 6, because there's a lot to say about that episode. But first, my overall thoughts. So, it should be said that coming into this, I had very low expectations. When we saw the post-credit scene of The Mandalorian Season 2, where Boba Fett and Fennec Shand go and kill, what's-his-face, Bib Fortuna, and take over, and I was just like, eh. I mean, that didn't particularly excite me. I wasn't like, oh yeah, I really, really want to see that. It's Star Wars, so of course I was gonna watch it, but I came in with very low expectations, and quite frankly, I think that The Mandalorian overall is a bit overrated. I think when it's good, and of course Grogu is super cute, nobody can deny that. But it had some pretty god-awful episodes in the first season, and a little bit in the beginning of the second season as well. I mean, the whole thing where he meets Cara Dune, where at first they fight each other, and then they team up together to stave off these evil villains who are trying to terrorize these poor villagers. And then beginning of season 2, he meets Cab Vanth, and they fight, and then they team up together to fight off these evil villagers, actually fight off an evil monster who's trying to attack these villagers or townspeople. And they did that plot 3 or 4 different times. And then the one where he first actually meets Fennec Shand and meets Amy Sedaris, I can never remember her character's name, had this obnoxious teenage kid who was like, I'm going to be better than you, Din Djarin, and I'm going to be a better bounty hunter. It was so dumb. So, I mean, there's some pretty low quality stuff in that show. So I think that overall The Mandalorian is overrated, although there's some good stuff in it as well. I think the hype is a little much for that show. So combining all of those factors going into Boba Fett, I had really no expectations for this show at all. So with those very low expectations coming in, I really quite enjoyed myself because I was not expecting anything amazing and I didn't get anything amazing. So I was just having fun and going along for the ride. Now, this series has some of my favorite individual moments in recent Star Wars history, which I'll get into. A lot of great scenes, a lot of great stuff scattered all throughout this season. But when you look at it as a whole, it's a little problematic. It's a little all over the place. You have this flashback format at the beginning of the season, and then all of a sudden it turns into The Mandalorian season 2.5, and then we kind of get the conclusion of the Boba Fett story. We kind of tie things together in the seventh and final episode a little bit, but before that is structurally just all over the place. It doesn't know what kind of show it wants to be. Boba Fett disappears for 2 full episodes. Where he's in one scene in episodes 5 and 6 and has no lines. So he has 0 lines in episodes 5 and 6. And I had said in a previous video that I did that they probably should have called the show something else. I don't know, Star Wars Tatooine, or they could have just said Star Wars, May the Force be with you, or just some random thing, whatever. Because this is sort of a pseudo-anthology series, though it all ties together in the end. It's kind of like What If, Marvel's What If, where it's an anthology series but it all ties together in the end. Except that in this case, they spend 4 episodes on the same story, but then go into another story and then tie them all together at the end. But it should have been called something other than the Book of Boba Fett. And then one of the people who came into the live chat in that video that I was talking about this pointed out that Boba Fett's not writing a book in this show. It's like, what novel is Boba Fett writing? Why is this called the Book of Boba Fett? So the Book of Boba Fett, a weird title. Also, this show is very much lacking in villains. In the beginning, you can't figure out who the villains are. Is it this motorcycle gang putting their signal, their signia, whatever, spray painting it everywhere? Is it the Pikes? Is it the Hutts? Is it that mayor dude with that funny little translator? Who is it? There's just no way to tell. It's just kind of all over the place. And then once we get the reveal that the big bads of the show are the Pikes, like, who cares? Like, they have no personality. We hardly ever see them. I mean, we've seen them in different Star Wars projects before, but these particular Pikes, like, they're we don't know who they are, really. We don't know them as characters. We do get, of course, the big reveal of Cad Bane at the very end of episode 6 and appearing in episode 7. But the show might have benefited from bringing him in the fold a little bit earlier so that he could be kind of the face of evil. Like, he could be the foe, the adversary for Boba Fett. Because he didn't really have one. It was just kind of all over the place. So, in that way, the show is a little bit of a mess. In some ways, it is a little bit of a mess. But it is a mess that I very much enjoyed all throughout. Had a great time with. And there are some great individual moments all throughout. So let me now kind of break up the season. I want to start by talking about those first 4 episodes, which were the flashback episodes taking place pretty much entirely on Tatooine. Okay, so these first 4 episodes are kind of split between sort of the present day storyline, or the storyline that is forward of that post-credit scene from Mandalorian season 2, where Boba Fett is trying to kind of find his footing as the new ruler of Mos Espa, the new ruler of Tatooine, kind of taking Jabba's place. So we get that, and then very heavy into the flashbacks. In fact, episode 2 is more flashback than not, which shows us how he came to be with the Tuskens, which we did see evidence of when we meet him in The Mandalorian. He has their weapon with him. So we get all that backstory through these first 4 episodes. And, you know, I do think that a lot of that was necessary. I'm glad that we got it. I think it was very interesting to see, especially, uh, well, for one thing, episode one, him getting out of the Sarlacc pit. I think that was huge. We've been wondering about that for years. And then episode two with the Tuscans and really getting into their culture in a way that we never have before. All of that was great. I do think it could have been condensed, could have been shorter, and I don't know how exactly I would structure it, but not how they did. It would just, I don't think that this format of having going back and forth between the flashbacks and the present day for the first 4 episodes, and then no more flashbacks for the rest of the 3 episodes. I think that that was off-putting. I think it was weird. So I don't know. Do they just do all the flashbacks maybe in one singular episode? Maybe episode at the end of episode 2 he gets injured, and then episode 3 is the whole thing with him in the banta tank for the whole episode, and it's an entire flashback episode. I don't know. Is that too reminiscent of Shades of Grey from Star Trek: The Next Generation? It wouldn't be, because it would be all new footage. But I don't know. I don't know how they should have structured it. I just know it shouldn't have been like that. But there were some great things in it. Like I said, I absolutely loved the Dances with Wolves storyline in episode 2. I thought it was fantastic. I loved seeing the huts. I know people complained about the CGI. Hey, it's better than the CGI Jabba the Hutt that they tried to put into the New Hope when they redid the New Hope, which I think is how you watch it now. You see Jabba the Hutt slithering around. I mean, that's terrible. Like, this was better than that. I didn't have a huge problem with it. I think it was cool to see them, even if they were sort of a red herring and didn't really mean anything. It was still kind of fun to see them. Also, didn't have any huge complaints about the cyberpunk teenage My Motorcycle Gang. I actually thought they were fun. I know a lot of people hated them. I didn't have any huge problem with them. The one dude reminded me a little bit too much of Cyborg from the DC universe, but whatever. Like, I liked how Boba Fett was going around, like, putting his gang together and, like, basically sparing people's lives or being nice to them and then getting their loyalty. He did that with those guards who unfortunately meet a very sad ending, falling off a cliff. But he does it with them. He does it with the motorcycle gang. He does it with Black Cassandra. And then with the Rancor, who was so obviously Chekhov's Rancor, especially when he's like, oh, I'm going to ride him someday. We're like, yeah, you will ride him in the finale. I mean, that was pretty obvious. And could there have been anyone better than Danny Trejo to be the Rancor trainer? Like, when they thought, we need a trainer for the Rancor, they were like, well, we're obviously getting Danny Trejo for this role. Obviously. I mean, who else would be a Rancor trainer? I mean, it's so crazy how well he just slid right into that role. But I don't know. I think my biggest problem with this format, other than the fact that it's disconjuncted from the second half of the season, is that I don't feel like the present day storyline moved forward really all that much. Really, all throughout the entire season, I don't think we really got a movement on that story. And it also ties into, like, they don't know who the villain is. So it's a little sloppy. That is definitely a little sloppy. But there are things within it that I really enjoyed, as I just mentioned. So now let me switch over and talk about those last 3 episodes, or 2 of the last 3 we could refer to as The Mandalorian Season 2.5. Okay. So it was pretty obvious that Din Djarin was going to be in this show. I think that information had already leaked. I'd already heard it, or there was a strong rumor that it was going to happen. And then at the end of episode 4, they do that little the little Mandalorian whistle at the very end when they're talking about they need to find help against the Pike. So it was like so obvious that Mando was going to appear. But what was not obvious was that they were going to do a whole episode just about him. I was kind of like, watching this, and I'm like, okay, so when are we cutting to Boba Fett? And I'm like, okay, well, we're not cutting to Boba Fett. This is basically an episode out of The Mandalorian season 2.5. And I would say, as I just said before, The Mandalorian I feel is a little bit overrated overall. That this is actually one of the best episodes of The Mandalorian. And I do kind of consider it a Mandalorian episode, and it's one of my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian. I thought it was a freaking great episode. I really enjoyed it, and I think a lot of that has to do with its tie-in to the story of Mandalore, which kind of ties into that other video that I am going to release on Friday. This episode, in fact, will be the last episode that I talk about when I'm recounting all of the episodes that you should watch throughout all the Star Wars shows about the story of Mandalore. This will be the last one because this is as far as we've gotten in the story of Mandalore to this point, leading us into The Mandalorian Season 3, which I really do believe will be about the battle for the Darksaber and the battle to save Mandalore and all those sorts of things. And Bo-Katan will play a big role. And so this is kind of a prequel a little bit to that. This is setting the stage for that. We get to see some visuals of the Night of a Thousand Tears, which has been referenced before. But we get to see what it kind of looks like. It looks very much like the Terminator movies, especially the beginning scene of Terminator 2 looks very much like that. But it's very cool. And then Din Djarin having that battle with that other dude. And winning the Darksaber, but then being banished because he took his helmet off. I'm curious to see if he's going to stick with this cult. Seems like right now he's still pretty dedicated to them, even though they kicked him out. I want him eventually to just kind of, say, fuck you, I want to take my helmet off so Grogu can see his daddy. But we shall see about that. Then really fun scenes with the Amy Sedaris character in this episode, rebuilding that old Naboo ship. All of that was a lot of fun. Really, really highly enjoyed episode 5. As I said, one of my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian. Then we get into episode 6, which also an episode of The Mandalorian for the most part, but also like a little side plot with Luke and Grogu in it as well. I actually just loved this episode so much. It was just so full of fan service, and I loved every second of it. I ate the fan service up with a big giant spoon. It was so delicious. Delicious fan service. I loved it. And Ahsoka Tano coming in out of left field. No idea she would appear in this show. Not expecting that at all. Her referring to Luke as a family friend, and then telling Luke that he's just like his father, and talking to him. And I loved the Luke and Grogu training sequences. Oh my gosh, it was a fan service that I really ate with a spoon. I loved it so much. A lot of callbacks to The Empire Strikes Back. Luke quoting Yoda, explaining how Yoda talks funny. He did a variation on the do or do not, there is no try line. He also quoted Yoda saying that size matters not. And then Luke having Grogu in the backpack and running through the forest and doing flips and stuff. Very much like he did with Yoda, except the roles are reversed and Luke is the teacher this time. I love it so much. And I love how they were walking, like Luke kind of just like pushes Grogu. He goes, whoop. It's just so cute. I think Grogu like jumping around trying to avoid the thing from A New Hope, that little blasty thing that Luke used in A New Hope. And Grogu's like hopping around and it's so cute. He's like whoop-a-doo-a-doo. I love that. Oh my gosh. I loved all of that so much, and I just was not expecting. This is what really brought out the fangirl in me. Oh my gosh, I loved it. But anyways, we get Grogu at the very end. He's given a choice, and I was just dying to know. Like I just was just really dying to know: is Grogu going to choose the armor in episode 7, or is he going to choose the armor in Mandalorian season 3? Because there's no way in hell he wasn't choosing the armor. No freaking way. He's too much of a cash cow. I mean, when they kind of implied at the end of Mandalorian season 2 that he wasn't going to be in season 3, I was like, really? You're giving up your cash cow? That seems weird. Like, I just felt like they were going to find a way to bring Grogu back into the fold pretty quickly into season 3. And in fact, they don't even wait till season 3. They just do it right here. He's back in the fold right now. There was never a doubt in my mind what he was going to be choosing there. So we get this big finale. Of course, I forgot to mention, Cad Bane showing up at the end of episode 6. I don't really care for Cod Vant or whatever his name is. Like, but it was super fun to see Cad Bane show up, and he looks really cool. Like, I didn't know how they were going to do him in live action, if they were ever going to have him, but they did a fantastic job. He's menacing, like way more menacing than he is in the animated shows. That was very cool. Anyways, we're in episode 7. Big action-packed finale. This was a lot of fun to me. Again, I think there was a little bit of WandaVision syndrome going on here, where people thinking, Mace Windu is going to show up because of the Grogu's flashback from the previous episode, and we're going to find out that Mace Windu is the one who rescued him, which we very well may find that out, because as we know in Star Wars, falling from great distances, from great heights, means nothing. It almost assures you're still alive. So that's possible, but I never expected to get that here. We're going to get Kira as the big bad, which actually I think would have been nice to have some sort of big bad. Or then, of course, the de-aging Han Solo was a big rumor. So all of these things, a little bit of a WandaVision thing going on where people had these big expectations. As I said, I had low expectations for this whole thing, including the finale. I wasn't expecting all these huge things. I wasn't expecting this huge cameo from Han Solo. I felt satisfied from all the cameos that we got from episode 6. Like, I don't feel like I needed any more in episode 7. What I needed was what I got. I felt like the big climactic battle, Boba Fett riding Chekhov's Rancor, which is a huge callback to the Star Wars Holiday Special, which the little animated feature in the middle of the Holiday Special, which was actually Boba Fett's first appearance, and I guess would have also been the first appearance of a Rancor, because Boba Fett is riding a Rancor in that little animated short as part of the Holiday Special. So big callback to that, but that was a lot of fun. And fighting those nearly invincible robot things. They should have had more of those. Like, they thought that 2 would be enough, I guess. But I really highly enjoyed that finale. From beginning to end, and especially Grogu putting the Rancor to sleep and snuggling up against him. Oh, it's so cute. How are they not going to have cute little Grogu in Mandalorian Season 3? So now they've just knocked that out of the way. So I kind of like that they've done that for preparing for Mandalorian Season 3, that they've already gotten the Din Djarin and Grogu reunion out of the way so they can just dive straight into the story of Mandalore, which I think is very good, and I'm looking forward to that. And that will tie into the other video that I did that I will release on Friday. So anyway, that is all of my thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett. I feel like my video has probably been as disorganized as the show itself, but hey, that's fitting, huh? Let me go ahead and give my rating out of 10 for the Book of Boba Fett Season 1. And my rating out of 10 is a 7. I'll give it a 7. Solid 7. A lot of things I really enjoyed, as I said, but it was kind of too disorganized to be any higher than a 7, I think. But because of my low expectations for this show, I really just had fun with it and was along for the ride. And it actually does have me really excited for The Mandalorian Season 3, even though I've not been super enthused by every episode of The Mandalorian so far. I'm actually looking forward to The Mandalorian Season 3, which will be out, I think, at the very end of the year. So yeah, a 7. Not bad. It's not bad at all. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. As I've alluded to a couple times in this video, I do have another Star Wars video releasing on Friday, February 18th, in which I will tell you all of the episodes and all of the Star Wars TV series, including the animated series, that I think you should watch for the story of Mandalore. Mainly the story of the Darksaber and the fight for the Darksaber, and that includes Bo-Katan and all of that sort of stuff. So that'll be out on Friday. Also, I am reviewing Star Trek Discovery every week on Thursday nights if I can get the video out in time, so please check that out as well. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe, and I will see you soon. Goodbye, everybody.